Okay, y'all ready to do this? All
Yes.
right. Okay, so I want to start with Peter and Paul. I'm wondering, was there a specific real life tape moment, like an internet mystery, maybe a hometown rumor that planted the first seed of Man Finds Tape? What's the real story behind the story, I guess?
That's a very good question. I wish there was one for me. I wish there was one specific inciting sort of incident. I don't know that there was. It was more of the sort of general vibe of discovering stuff online and the like. I mean, to go way back, it's the childhood fascination with cryptids and monsters and aliens and things that may or may not be out there, and sort of the want to find and discover that stuff, which then when you're growing up mutates into discovering that stuff online and falling down weird rabbit holes. And I liked the worlds of creepy pastas. Not even necessarily like it's a thing that I was fascinated with before creepy pasta was like a term. And so then it sort of emerged as its own genre. And so that this type of story was sort of more of the inception point for me versus one specific incident. But what about you, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, pretty similar. I think Peter and I, we didn't know each other at the time, but we both kind of grew up on X-Files, The Truth Is Out There kind of storytelling. And for me, similar to Peter, it was kind of getting access to the internet. It wasn't really just one particular thing I found or anything, but it was just early days. You have to be over a certain age to understand this, but being on IRC, internet relay chat for the youths, well before AOL Instant Messenger and things like that. They don't even know what that is actually. And just logging into random people's FTPs and stuff, which you really shouldn't be doing, but was doing as like a teenager, just looking around, finding weird videos and things on there. Just I think like what honestly like watching pirated movies and stuff as like a teenager. I think the first time I watched Fight Club was like a cam rip off somebody's random FTP server that I downloaded. And so yeah, not a particular creepy pot. I just admitted to a crime. I'm going to jail now. Right, like right at the beginning of our press day, I just admitted to crime.
Good
So
work,
let's
Paul.
just
Good
strike
work.
that. Yeah, just I'll log off now. Bye y'all.
Well, this is for the cast. I'm curious, was there a scene that felt creepier performing than it looks on screen?
Good question.
Hmm.
I feel like once we get to the barn, the bar, like that's when it kind of gets scary because David, our DP, let me hold the camera for some of it. So I was in it as I was filming some of the POV. And I didn't want to spend too much time in there before we called action. And yeah, we started that off pretty chronologically where William and Nell's characters are kind of guiding me through and showing me like what he did and what he discovered. And I think that was, yeah, just like being the real POV of that was probably a little more eerie than watching.
Yeah.
Completions was honestly creepy too.
Yeah.
Was, yeah.
I remember Boone's barbecue is especially, I think, like one of my favorite times getting to hold the camera and run through this structurally unsound barbecue joint. And there's no like crew or, directors or anybody with you. You're just kind of like alone in this dark hallway, kind of traversing with the camera. And I remember feeling very creeped out by that scenario.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the cool part of it is that they would kind of put cameras up as we were getting ready in hair and makeup, and we wouldn't necessarily know where the full coverage was. So we'd have meetings with Peter and Paul beforehand, kind of just giving us a rundown of the scene. And the cool thing was is that we got to kind of focus on our actual motivations as people of like, if this is the first time walking into this room, what do I want to check out? Like, what is this? So that was a really cool thing that we got to do too.
Yeah, and having Brian as well in the like he's like in the other room, like across the hall, just like doing his thing, and then I'm like watching him from afar and just seeing him like kind of lurk in the way that Brian does.
Yeah.
That was really creeped me out. Yeah.
I do a lot of lurking. Yeah. Sorry, speaking of lurking, I had a child walk in for a second. My child, not just like just a child.
Let them talk
Um,
and talk.
yeah, yeah.
Those scenes were really cool. And I think had an added element of creepiness for me, both the Boone's barbecue scenes and the Salvation Hour scenes, because we were filming in 360 with those security cameras, which were, I think, GoPros at the end of the day. And so it was a very atypical film acting experience because usually your field of vision is pretty crowded with the camera and the crew, and you see 10 people in front of you. So you have to do that extra heavy lifting as an actor to make those things go away and just see your scene partner. So that was both an added benefit and also added layer of creepiness that like no one's there in the room with you except for the people in the scene.
Yeah, if the question was about like what scene was creepier to shoot than it may appear on screen, like I hope they're all creepy, but the house that we kind of ended up shooting in for those Salvation Hour, that kind of like end of the movie part, like that house kind of creeps me out. Like I would go upstairs to like change. And sorry, I know it's in the family will, but like it's a lovely house. But like there was something about being in that old house, like it's very kind of like this old, airy, kind of big upstairs where like if there's no one there, it just feels like there is someone there. So the location kind of weirded me out. It's nice though. It's a nice place.
And John, you didn't get to answer anything creepy that was creepier than filming?
I the I don't know if creepy is the right word for me. I think the most uncomfortable I was giving people sacrament. That was probably like the weirdest feeling, was like placing the wafer on the tongues of strangers, one after the other after the other. That was weird. I don't know if that was creepy. It was definitely an experience where I was like, oh, this is not the norm. This is not what I do.
Were they actually communion wafers? Were they Ritz crackers? What were they? I didn't like what.
They were wafers, right? Like they
probably weren't.
Yeah.
Blessed.
No, they were bought from the supply store. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they were proper wafers.
Ashley sourced them somewhere. She doesn't. Yeah, she gets the real thing. I don't know if they were blessed.
Yeah.
Oh, they were blessed. They were blessed. I was like, yeah, bless this one. Bless this one. I just blessed them on my own. I figured it was worth a shot.
They come as an extra for a day and they leave blessed. Like
good luck. Good luck. Yeah.
All right, this is a question again for all of y'all. If you had to define the tapes as a metaphor, what do you think they represent? Memory, guilt, obsession, maybe something else?
I'd be curious if the cast wants to answer this one first. I'm sure Paul and I have answers, but John, go
I
ahead.
have thoughts. I was kind of thinking about it earlier today, actually, and I was thinking it is. I think doubt is the thing for me. It's like I started thinking about it because I saw this morning. It was the first time I ever got fooled by AI. Was this morning. I saw a high school production of Hellraiser on stage, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, it was kids doing Hellraiser on stage. It wasn't kids doing Hellraiser on stage. It was Sora AI. It was straight up not a bunch of people dressed like characters from Hellraiser doing Hellraiser. And I was like, I sat there for a second and I was like, oh, like it's easy for me to go, oh, you can always tell it's AI, or only my grandpa would fall for AI. But it was like, here I was, just watch this thing. And I didn't see the Sora watermark, and I was about to share it. And right before I shared it, I saw the Sora mark, and I was like, oh, crap. I couldn't believe my own eyes. Like, I literally couldn't believe my own eyes. And so for me, I think the one word would be doubt, where it was like, is what I think real? Is what I believe real? Is what I see real? And it's a weird position to be in as a human. And I think that's why you see people double down and buckle down on things that they have faith in, or things that they just believe, and they don't want to hear any outside voices, and they don't want to look at anything else. It's because they don't want doubt to creep in. Because when doubt creeps in, it gets really weird. It gets really weird, and it can fundamentally change your way of thinking, for good, for bad. And so for me, the one thing that I think is that concept of doubt being introduced.
I think that's a great answer. I think for me, the tapes represent different things depending on the character's perspective. So, not to get into spoiler territory, but the character who's making the tapes, to him, they represent power, like control, like ability to acknowledge this is what I'm doing to people. But to Lucas, who's sort of one of the first people to expose the tapes, it is that sort of doubt question. It is a what happened to me as a kid, and he spins it into a bigger story than it was. And then for Lynn's character, it is more of a like a pursuit of truth and wanting to get that out there. So it sort of it mutates depending on who's looking at it, which is also very much so the theme of what's actually in the tape and watching being presented, whether you're someone in the film or an audience member watching this film, your takeaway is going to be mutated by what perception you're bringing to it, if that makes sense.
And I think too, we inherently as humans are obsessed with nostalgia and memory and that feeling. And inherently by like filming something on and with a photo or a video, it's 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 a you're capturing it, but it's not really true. It's digitization or manipulation or interpretation of the actual memory that happened, and it's a great power that we have to look back at memories, but inherently they are not 100% as they were, by the way the technology works. And I think that's only just becoming more and more and more a thing, like with what John was talking about, is like as those waters get muddier and muddier and muddier, as we in 20 years when we look back on selfies and everybody's faces have like Instagram filters and stuff like that, it's just the progression of manipulation of nostalgia increases. And so in 50 years from now, when we look back on things, what's that manipulation going to look like?
I
Yeah,
think, oh, go ahead.
no, you go.
No.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, Paul, and piggybacking a bit off John too. I think there's like also an interesting metaphor or point to be drawn about like nostalgia in a past sense, but also in a current sense. Like I think the tapes are an interesting one-to-one for like somebody's conviction and worldview and opinions and how we see those as truth. You know, like for a lot of people, there's no distance between their opinions and the truth, and where that doubt and distrust creeps in is when your idea of the firm truth clashes with somebody else's idea of the firm truth. And especially with the lens of like seeing Lucas's content on the internet, I think there's like a lot of really great commentary about the relativity of truth and its relationship to our worldviews and our rigidity or fluidity with that.
Yeah.
Righty, y'all. So next person who will be taking over the questions will be Rachel. Thank you so much, Brian.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Rachel.
Hey, Rachel.
Hello. So to start, I was going to ask everybody, because I love the different use of cameras in this movie and how you get to see all these different kind of styles and angles. So both from the creation and writing process and direction into you guys physically having the cameras on your own, what for you guys was the most fun about getting to mix all of those styles and looks together in a movie like Man Finds Tape?
That's a really good question. I'll take my first part of it was I had a lot of fun trying to write it from the angle of because we wanted to always have a justification for what was filming when, because one problem or speed bump that found footage movies can run into is like, oh well, why would the characters have this footage, or why would they still be filming? Like no real person would react this way in this moment. And so we tried to be very, very thoughtful about justifying where sources of the footage would come from. So figuring all of that out ahead of time, I actually really liked the puzzle of it. It sucked. It's hard to do. I don't recommend it, but I actually had a lot of fun, I think, Paul and I, at that stage. And it made for the script at the end of the